don't know if you remember that Eagles and Ravens game from last season where Philadelphia came into Baltimore and they beat the Ravens 24-19. If you're just looking at the box score, you could think, oh man, they barely escaped out of there with a win. They only won by 5 points. Oh, it was so close. But if you watch the actual game, you will see that it really wasn't. This game against the Detroit Lions was an exact replica of that, where the Lions, for the most part, they had their way with the Ravens on offense, on defense throughout the majority of the night. And the score being 38-30, it does not indicate just how far apart the Lions were from the Baltimore Ravens. But I'm here to share my post-game thoughts on this game that we all watched. We did not love it, but we all watched it. We're hoping the Baltimore Ravens will pull something crazy out, but they didn't, and they lost to the Detroit Lions. This was actually Lamar Jackson's first loss in the NFC to a team that did not have Saquon Barkley on it. So a little interesting stat there for you. But let's just go ahead and jump right into it, and we'll start with the Baltimore Ravens defense. Oh, this was bad. But this goes to something that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. Remember? Well, if you don't, I'll refresh your memory. We talked about how last season with Zach Orr and this Baltimore Ravens defense, remember those first 10 weeks, they were really, really bad. And the defense was just giving up all kind of passing yards, and they were just breaking all kind of records, and just it was really, really bad. Breaking records in a bad way. But then the last 7 weeks, they seemed to improve. They really seemed to get things together. But something that we noticed is that in the first 10 weeks, they were playing a lot more elite quarterbacks. They were playing a lot better quarterbacks for the most part, for the majority of it. And then in the last 7 weeks, the competition at quarterback dropped off for the most part. So that kind of made the numbers not look as good as we thought they were. So after that Bills game, that came to my mind. I was like, hold up. Zach Orr is still the same defensive coordinator, and he struggled against Josh Allen and that Bills offense like crazy. But then against the Browns, oh man, our defense looked amazing, but the quality of quarterback dropped so much. So I was like, all right, let's see what happens against the Lions. Jared Goff, a much better quarterback than Joe Flacco. That Lions offense, much better than the Browns. Let's see how this Baltimore Ravens defense does. And there you go. It did not help Zach Orr's case whatsoever. It really didn't. When you look at the numbers, actually, you know what? We ain't even going to talk about the numbers yet. Again, they just dominated. They dominated. Literally the first drive of the game, and the majority of their drives, whatever the Lions wanted to do, they did it. If they wanted to run the ball, they ran the ball, no problem. If they wanted to pass the ball, they passed the ball, no problem. Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, if you put those two quarterbacks next to each other on a sheet of paper and say, oh, man, going into this game, which one of them is going to get sacked more? Easily, everybody would choose Jared Goff. They say, oh, Lamar Jackson, you know how he does already. He be making so many people miss sacks and whatnot. The pass rush, they be getting so frustrated when they chasing Lamar Jackson because he does so much. And Jared Goff, while he can move a little bit, he ain't really mobile like that. Oh, yeah, Jared Goff, easy. Nope. Jared Goff got sacked 0 times. And Lamar Jackson got sacked 7. Baltimore Ravens pass rush has just not been good this year at all. In that Bills game, I gave them a little pass because I said with Josh Allen, you got to play him differently. The pass rush, it just can't be judged accurately going against Josh Allen, even though like you would still want them to get some hits on Josh Allen, some sacks, some pressure on Josh Allen, but they just didn't. I'm like, okay, that's Josh Allen. What about Joe Flacco? I honestly didn't even think they looked that good against Joe Flacco. They had some moments, but I was like, they didn't even look that good to me in that game. So then this Lions game happened, and it was bad. There were a few times where they got pressure, but majority of the game, Jared Goff was just sitting there chilling. Jared Goff did not have any fear in his eyes. The Baltimore Ravens defense did not put any fear in his heart whatsoever. He and this Lions offense, they had their way. I don't know who their offensive coordinator is, but he deserves a raise. He really does. The way that this offense was designed, there were so many times when the Baltimore Ravens, they were close, but obviously not close enough. The way that this offense was designed, it put Lions players in so many positions to have success over and over and over. Sam Laporta, like, look, I know you was nice. I ain't know you was like Obviously as a pass catching tight end, but as a blocker, as just a physical specimen. This man is like an extra offensive lineman. He's like a fullback. He's a giant receiver. This man is he's nice, man. Again, I knew he was a playmaking type, but I didn't know he was like physical like that. So much respect to Sam Laporta because he was just knocking dudes out the way, pushing Ravens players back, catching on anybody that was trying to guard him. Amazing game from Sam Laporta. But again, with the Lions offense, there were so many times, like I think it was a fourth down run, where Jared Goff snapped the ball, and he handed it off to Amon St. Brown. So it was looking like, okay, Amon St. Brown's going to run it. Then the Ravens defense was trying to get to him, but then he pitched it to Jahmyr Gibbs, I believe, and he ended up getting a touchdown. I said, oh, my goodness. Like the way that their offensive coordinator designed the plays, there were so many plays where the Ravens player would be right there, but the Lions offensive player, they would just have an angle. They would have an angle, and they would get upfield, and that was all she wrote. Lions, they were really, really having their way with this Baltimore Ravens defense. Ravens defense gave up a 99-yard drive, and in the very same game, they gave up a 96-yard drive. And on that 99-yard drive, you would think, oh, it might have been aided by penalties, right? No, Ravens only got one penalty for 5 yards, illegal contact. Illegal contact. The rest, the Lions earned every single yard. Every one. And again, for them to have a 99-yard and a 96-yard drive in the same game, that is insane. Insanity. Lions were so good against Baltimore Ravens defense. They were trying to run the clock out and end up getting a touchdown when they were trying to run the clock out at the very end of the game. That's how great they were. Marlon Humphrey in this game, he didn't have a good game in this game. Amon St. Brown, he was getting them over and over and over and over. Dan Campbell, Lions head coach, his aggression, it paid off. He wasn't scared of the Baltimore Ravens. Not at all. Ravens did not put any fear in this Lions. I was going to say in this Lions offense, but really in this Lions team. They did not put any fear in them whatsoever. They weren't scared. And the Ravens really gave them no reason to be. Ravens offense, of course, had some nice moments here and there, but overall, Lions just dominated. They really did. But looking at their offense versus Ravens defense, Jared Goff, 20 for 28, 202 yards. So nothing too crazy. But again, the numbers don't tell the whole story. He was just taking what they were giving him. He had some wide open passes on some of them, but he was just doing what he wanted. And he was chilling. He was relaxing. He wasn't forcing anything. He did not put the ball in harm's way. I don't think he did, not one single time. Not once. But, I mean, when you ain't got no pressure, then that makes it easier to do that. David Montgomery, 12 carries for 151 yards. Longest run was 72 yards. Now, I will give Marlon Humphrey credit on that one because Marlon Humphrey hawked him down. He didn't give up. He gave a lot of effort. He tried to force a fumble, but David Montgomery held onto the ball. But, yeah, it was a rough game. Jahmyr Gibbs, 22 carries for 67 yards. So Ravens, they held him in check a little better, but both running backs got 2 touchdowns each. Both of them. So, yeah. Amon St. Brown, 7 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown on Marlon Humphrey. He just beat Marlon Humphrey from jump on that play. Beat him from jump. And Marlon Humphrey, there was nothing he could do. And I remember watching that play live, I was thinking, oh, man, if Marlon could have got his head turned around. But no, even if he would have got his head turned around, he could have tried to, swat it away, but he was just out of position. He just got beat from jump by Amon St. Brown. It was rough. Jameson Williams had a quiet game. He had a nice catch early on in the game, but really not much. And then 2 catches for 43 yards. Sam Laporta, 4 catches for 33 yards. That don't sound like anything crazy, and it's not, but when you watch the game, again, box scores, they don't tell everything. Sam Laporta is amazing. I have a newfound respect for Sam Laporta and really for this entire Lions team, especially their offense and defense, too. We're going to talk about the defense a little later, but their offense, my goodness, again, everything they wanted to do. And, again, continuously putting players in positions to have success, not forcing anything, not doing anything dumb, just playing sound, smart, solid football. I can't even call it solid. It was much better than solid. It was great. They played great football. They made the plays when they had to make the plays. They were going for it on fourth down. Um, Efficient offense, effective offense, and just move the ball at will. Now I know Ravens were missing Matabike. No Ravens were missing Kyle Vanoy, but this is a team that it's a roster with some nice depth. At least we thought this is supposed to be like the best roster in the league, ain't it? But Ravens just couldn't get it done. So many guys were just MIA this week. Kyle Hamilton, might have been his quietest game in a long time. I didn't hear anything, see anything from Kyle Hamilton in this game. Nothing. Malachi Starks, he had a big missed tackle. I think that led to a really, really big run play. I mean, there were a lot of big run plays by the Lions offense. But Roquan Smith wasn't flying around like he was last week. But yeah, just the whole defense, man. It was not good. Nate Wiggins, I thought Nate Wiggins played pretty good overall. But besides him, no, it was a mess. It was a mess. It really was. Somebody asked a question a couple of days ago. Oh, was Zach Orr not ready to be a defensive coordinator? And I said I can never say that somebody's not ready because we all want an opportunity to do something bigger than what we're doing. But it hasn't been good. It just really hasn't been good. And this is not just based off of this game. This is not even just based off of the Bills game. But again, just look at last year and the body of work. Now, again, with this 1 year, you can't just, all right, he wasn't good in his first year overall, but so scrap him, fire him, get rid of him. No, but he has shown you some patterns. And it's scary because the Ravens, they sent 4, couldn't get to Jared Goff. They sent 5, couldn't get to Jared Goff. Sent 6, couldn't get to Jared Goff. They just could not get to Jared Goff at all. The pass rush was so bad, extremely bad. But again, it's been bad all season long. We have all these nice players in the secondary, all these first-round picks and stuff, and yeah, it's not, but no pass rush. What are they going to do? Can't cover forever. As much as we would love them to, they can't cover forever. So, yeah, man. So what happens now on defense? Like this week, it could potentially get even worse if they do find out about Matabike. Who knows what the status is? We don't know, but I'm sure they'll find out this week. So it does sound like he's going to be out for a while, but again, we won't know till we know. So you could take another hit up front on a team that was already struggling, even with Matabike, but he obviously makes him a lot better. But you could take a big hit up front with Matabike potentially being gone for a while. It's a sad situation. But Ravens, they got to figure it out. I don't expect Zach Orr to get fired today, tomorrow, next week. I don't expect that. On defense, I don't even know what to expect, though. You're getting ready to play Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Ravens and Chiefs sitting there at 1-2. That's crazy. But this defense is going to continue to be tested. It's going to be continue to be tested, and it's important that they show, like, hey, we can make some stops. We can have a pass rush. But until then, nobody's going to respect you. It's up to the Baltimore Ravens to get this thing turned around. Will they? Time will tell. There's a stat that Jamison Hensley tweeted. He said the Ravens have scored 111 points this season, the most through 3 games by a team with a losing record in NFL history, according to ESPN research. So this Baltimore Ravens team just continues to be an anomaly. The offense in this game, it was rough. Again, they had some good moments because they obviously scored 30 points. That doesn't just come from nothing. When you look at the numbers, Lamar Jackson was 21 for 27 for 288 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Wow, that is nice. Nice little stats right there. But then the stat that stuck out the most tonight from Lamar Jackson, sacks. 7 times for 55 yards. That was bad. That was really bad. Now, there are some of those sacks that are definitely on the offensive line. My goodness, there was one where Aiden Hutchinson literally Move Ronnie Stanley out the way. He said, "Step to the side. Excuse me, sir. I gotta go." Andrew Voorhees tried to get a little push on. That ain't help. Tyler Linderbaum tried to nudge him. That ain't phase him. And he just whacked Lamar. It was bad. We know the offensive line has certainly had their struggles all season long, but not all of these sacks were on the offensive line. Some of them were on Lamar Jackson as well, to where he would hold the ball just for too long, and he was trying to make a play, but he held on to the ball for too long, and he ended up taking a sack. And then there was times where you could tell he didn't trust the offensive line, because when he would drop back, he would drop way back, and he just didn't trust him. But I mean, can you blame him for not trusting the offensive line? He hasn't really had much reason to throughout this season overall. The offensive line has been really rough, man. It really has been. And this is just another eye-opening game for the Baltimore Ravens and their staff to look at that offensive line and say, hey, like, what's going on? What's happening? Will they get it fixed? Who knows what's going to happen moving forward. But, yeah, in this game, Lamar Jackson, he made some nice plays. The 3 touchdowns. One was to Rashad Bateman. I think the other 2, were they both to Mark Andrews? I think so. Let me see. Yeah, both were to Mark Andrews. So one of them was on toward the very end of the game, where Lamar threw it up to Mark Andrews, and he just ran it in. And the other one came a little bit earlier. And shout out to Justice Hill. Shout out to Justice Hill, because on that one of the Ravens' last drives where they needed points, Lamar threw to Justice Hill, and Justice Hill ran into a couple of Lions players. They went down. He stood up, and he ended up getting a nice chunk of yards on what I was thinking was going to just be a drive, or whatever drive, to where, all right, this is going to be the drive that officially ends the game. But Justice Hill said, nope. And Mark Andrews and Lamar said, nope, we still fighting. But they obviously didn't get the onside kickback. But this offense, man, there were some sequences where just shout out to the Lions defense. Lions defense was amazing. Yeah, they gave up 30 points. I know, but that's what the box score doesn't tell the whole story. This Lions defense was amazing. Whoever their defensive coordinator, the mind games. The mind games, because what we've seen a lot of teams do, they will pump up the Ravens and really try to get in the Ravens' head. Who knows if it officially works or not, but they'll do it. I remember Devontae Adams last year. Oh, Lamar Jackson is the greatest dual-threat quarterback to ever do it. Just giving the Ravens and Lamar Jackson all these compliments, and then you saw the type of game that the Ravens played. They came out flat, didn't play well enough. Turnovers, they ended up losing that game against the Raiders last year. You see the Browns game this year. Browns talking they trash. Oh, yeah, no challenges in their defense. Oh, to bring down Derrick Henry is easy. Da-da-da-da. They talk trash. They talk negative about the Ravens. Seems like the Ravens feed off of that. Ravens like, oh, okay, watch this. And they beat up on the Browns. But then this week, with the Lions, the defensive coordinator, oh, man, I ain't got no sleep game planning for Lamar. The best dual-threat quarterback, and he's this and he's that. It's all so amazing. And all those things are true, but it almost just seems like sometimes these coordinators, sometimes other players on opposing teams, when they boost the Baltimore Ravens head up and say, oh, yeah, they so great at this and that, da-da-da-da, seem like the Ravens take the edge off. I mean, like, okay, that's cool. We'll be cool with them. We ain't going to do nothing crazy. But if people talk reckless about the Ravens, then the Ravens, that's when they turn up. So it could just be coincidence, though. But anyway, in this game, we watched how a specific drive I want to talk about was when the Baltimore Ravens had the ball at, the 1-yard line. And it was, in my opinion, it was great play calling. It was excellent play calling, but the Lions just executed better. Because remember, what was it, the Bills game? Where they had the ball at the 1, and they did not score. They tried. They did a play action. Didn't work. Did another play action. Where Lamar threw a touchdown to Zaire Mitchell-Payton, but he dropped it. Then he threw one to Mark Andrews. He dropped it. And then, what was the other play on that drive? I forget. But everybody was complaining like, hey, why didn't the Ravens give it to Derrick Henry? They had all them chances at the 1-yard line. You didn't give it to Derrick Henry. Ravens said, okay, watch this. We're going to change that up. So they gave it to Derrick Henry, stuffed. Gave it to Derrick Henry again, stuffed. Then they pitched it to Derrick Henry so he could get a running start. I thought that was an excellent play call. All three of them. He got stuffed again. So Derrick Henry on the 1 yard line. Lions said, nope, ain't happening. And then Lamar got stopped on that fourth down. And I ain't had no problem with them going for it. I understand why they did go for it. But Lions defense was amazing. Lions defense, Lamar wasn't running like crazy in the first half, but he looked a lot better, looked a lot more comfortable because in the second half, they made some crazy adjustments to where it was something so simple, but the way they did it, it worked perfectly because they would have somebody like a spy on Lamar Jackson, but that spy, they would not rush him. They would not even engage with the offensive line of the Baltimore Ravens. That spy was just watching Lamar Jackson, and they would sit back and they would wait. And they did this multiple times, and it kept working in that second half. They would just wait. Lamar Jackson snapped the ball, dropped back to pass, and they would just wait. And then sometimes Lamar would run right into them. It will work just about every time. The defensive coordinator, again, he deserves a raise too. Both their offensive and defensive coordinator, they deserve raises. The way that they played the Baltimore Ravens, the way that they controlled this game, they really did. It was crazy to see. Looking at some other players, Derrick Henry, oh, man. Because Derrick Henry threw that pass. Lamar snapped the ball. He pitched it to Derrick Henry. Then Derrick Henry, he hesitated a little bit. Then he threw the jump ball to Tylan Wallace. And I didn't know what they were doing there. They just got cute. Maybe they panicked. I don't know what was going on, but they got cute, and in my opinion, it wasn't necessary. Not at that point of the game. It really wasn't. Didn't understand it at all. Another thing that I really didn't understand, and sorry to go so back and forth all over the place, was when the Baltimore Ravens got that last touchdown to Mark Andrews when the game was close to being over but not technically over, and they decided they wanted to go for two. I was thinking, why? To me, it didn't make any sense. I'm sure the Harbaugh, and I'm sure some of y'all may agree with what they did, saying, hey, if they go for two there, then they get the onside kick, then all you need is a touchdown to win the game. You need a touchdown and an extra point. Okay? But they didn't. And if you wanted to try to win the game, yeah, you could have went for two after you got the onside kick back and got a touchdown. But I just didn't think that was a good decision for them to go for two on that 2-point game. And obviously, if you didn't get it, you're still only down by one score. So I know, but I just didn't agree with it. But that's just me. But this Ravens offense, Derrick Henry, it was looking like early on in the game, like, oh, okay, Derrick Henry back, let's go, yeah. Because he got that 28-yard touchdown run, but after that, it was a lot of nothing from that point because he ended up having 12 carries for 50 yards. And again, one of those carries was 28 yards. So he had 11 carries for 22 yards. 11 carries for 22 yards. Besides that 128-yard, and obviously we can't take that away from him. I'm not trying to do that, but that just goes to show, like, this Lions defense, they were something serious. They made the key adjustments. They really did. They really did. And again, Lamar Jackson sacked 7 times. 7 times is insane. It doesn't make any sense. 7 times. They got to Lamar Jackson 7 times. Mark Andrews, it was nice to see him have an active game, pass catching tonight. So that was fun to see. He got his 2 touchdowns, and yeah, he blew his regular season numbers out of the water from the previous 2 weeks. So shout out to him. Rashad Bateman, he had a nice game too. He was making some clutch third down catches for the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, it didn't end up being enough, but he had a good game. Justice Hill, 3 catches for 45 yards. Obviously, that catch that we talked about earlier, that was his biggest one, and that was a real clutch play. Tez Walker, he made history tonight because he caught his first reception that was not a touchdown for the Baltimore Ravens. It was close, but it wasn't a touchdown, so shout out to Tez. DeAndre Hopkins, he had the 1 catch for 13 yards. Zay Flowers, quiet game, 2 catches for 13 yards. I thought there would have been more. With Derrick Henry, I was very happy because on one of the touchdown passes that Lamar Jackson threw, I believe it was the one to Rashad Bateman, But Derrick Henry was in there, and it was a passing play. And I was like, oh, wow. And Derrick Henry even chipped Aiden Hutchinson to slow his pass rush down. So I said, this is what I'm talking about. Like, they need to have Derrick Henry out there more for passing situations because that opens the offense up. And the predictability that John Harbaugh talked about with Keaton Mitchell, this is why what John Harbaugh, that part of what he said didn't make any sense to me. Because he said, if Keaton Mitchell's out there, then the defense's ears go up. Or their antennas go up, excuse me. I'm thinking, hold up. If Justice Hill is out there, the defense's antennas go up because they know it's a pass. If Derrick Henry's out there, their antennas go up because they know like 90% of the time it's going to be a run. So they know what to expect because the Ravens, they show it. They show it. Derrick Henry goes off the field. Oh, yeah, Ravens are passing. Oh, yeah, 43's out there. Yeah, that's a passing play. And 9.9 times out of 10 it is. Oh, 22's out there? They probably going to run it. They might, but yeah, they probably going to run it. And that's what happens. So that's when Harbaugh said the whole thing about, when Keaton Mitchell's out there, the defense ain't. No. Like if he would have said, our offense, they scoring 40-plus points every game. Okay, I understand that. But that other part, no. But yeah. Shout out to Lions defense. I ain't really got much to say about Ravens offense. Again, they did make some plays, like I said. But obviously it wasn't enough. And Lions made the plays when they counted the most. And they got the stops when they mattered the most. It really did. Again, that goal line stand was everything. It really was. It would be insane for us to see a Ravens goal line stand this year. Because it's just how this defense has been. You can't expect something like that. But with the offense, again, it's nice that different people getting involved like usual. That's been the norm for Baltimore Ravens offense. But the defense, man, now the defense, they did make some stops, some key stops at good points of the game toward the end, but just the way that they got manhandled all game, they just the offense. I saw somebody say, this offense is going to have to score 50 points every game. You might be right with how bad this defense has been. You might be right. Special teams, Rasheen Ali, he had broke a real nice kick return, and boy, that Lions kicker saved the day because, man, that was a nice one. He's looking like he's about to take it to the house, but Lions kicker said, nope, not on my watch. Tyler Loop, I thought he missed that field goal. I watching it live, I just knew that was a miss, but he made it, and I was like, thank goodness. Yikes, that was very, very scary. LaJohntay Wester, he got, I think, 2-punt returns, but nothing came of those. But, yeah, special teams, they gave up Lions got a decent kick return on him early on in the game, but they were holding it down on special teams for that. But special teams was just nothing crazy. I was so glad that toward the end of the half when it was 14 up, Lions got the ball back, and they're such a smart team. They're such a well-coached team, too. It was just amazing. I was in awe. So many points throughout the game were just watching how their coaching just put them in positions to just make smart plays. Like right before halftime, there were 17, 12 seconds. There was a little bit of time left, and they were throwing that ball, and they were moving that ball down the field, and they put their kicker in position. It was a really long field goal. I think it was like a 68-yarder, but they gave him a chance to kick a 68-yard field goal to try to go up 17-14. So I'm like, man, their coaching is just, it was amazing to me, in my opinion. It was just really, really, really good. But yeah, that was that. So obviously special teams for the Baltimore Ravens, it wasn't special enough because they could not help seal the deal. But overall in this game, it was a rough one for the Baltimore Ravens. Like I said, the trenches just got abused all game long on the offense and defensive side of the ball. Now, I'm not one to say the sky is necessarily falling and the season is over. The Baltimore Ravens are 1-2. I think they started last season 1-2. Now, I will say that there's no excuse for them to be 1-2, especially with this roster, especially with the talent that they have, especially with all the points that they've scored. There's no reason for this team to be 1-2 at all. Every single game that they've had have been winnable games. All these games, they're not getting blown out, anything like that. Again, all close games. But I don't really know where they go from here because they're not going to fire anybody. They're still going to stick with the same staff. I'll be very surprised if anybody gets let go from anything. Obviously, Harbaugh ain't going nowhere. Todd Monken obviously ain't going nowhere. With Zach Orr, I think he would be the one that maybe have a slight, tiny chance, possibly. Especially since they brought back Chuck Pagano, so they could be like, oh, Zach Orr, we're going to relieve your duties and put Chuck Pagano as defensive coach. But I just can't see them doing that, especially because of the family ties. Zach Orr was a Baltimore Raven. Literally was a Baltimore undrafted rookie free agent that he started his rookie year and came on, ended up being all pro. He got ties to the Ravens. So I don't see them doing anything there. So yeah, we just gotta hope for the best. Hope that the Baltimore Ravens can learn from their mistakes. Hope they can get things turned around. I don't even think I talked about the Derrick Henry fumble. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. My mind is all over the place. But even with that, with Derrick Henry fumble, every team, he's fumbled all 3 games now. Every team is going to be watching that closely and trying to do the same thing because it's working. You get a good punch on that ball. Oh, Derrick Henry gonna drop it. So fumbled all 3 games. So yeah, very very unfortunate. But watch the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs are gonna be punching that ball out. Andy Reid gonna show them those fumbles and be like, hey, yeah, go for it. I know y'all got it. So tough game next week, man. Tough game again. Chiefs 1-2, Ravens 1-2. Who would have thought? But that's gonna be a battle next week. So again, I'm not saying the season is over. Oh, they're not gonna win another single game. I've seen a lot of people saying that. I know people just reacting to react, especially because they're frustrated with everything. But Ravens, they still got a chance just as much as anybody this year. But how will you fix your issues is the question.